لا 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 لا
I know this video will be controversial. It is even controversial to myself to be preparing a video about a YouTube user who I used to thoroughly enjoy, and I would say even glorify. I am perhaps not the first one to speak against thunderf00t's latest video on Islam and the so-called Throw the Mohammed Day, but I will certainly be one of the ones speaking more strongly against them. thunderf00t, who until now, to my eyes, was a champion of science, reason and atheism, has done a 180-degree turn in his style and the emphasis of his videos, going beyond science and reason and moving to the realm of politics. But when entering that field, he seemed to have left behind his scientific critical thinking and has adopted a totalitarian approach, probably driven by an irrational misunderstanding of Islam and the political complexities affecting the Middle East. I claim he has turned into a prototypical Islamophobic who uses freedom of speech as a tool to air his irrational hate. These accusations, however, merit further explanation, as it is not enough to point the finger at someone and just accuse them. As I see, thunderf00t has forgotten a number of scientific essentials, such as incurring in bias. Nowhere in his videos he has seriously examined the many possible sides of the argument, and he has purposefully mixed up issues of different nature. For example, he has been showing images of both Palestinian fighters who are combating a political battle and of pure religious fanatics, and has assumed that both groups are one and the same. Well, of course they are not. He has shown lack of precision. He has used the term Islam as a blanket, not considering that Islam is not a block of thought, and thus insulting those who are non-violent by putting them in the same pot as the violence. By the way, I should say that I hate the term moderates and radicals. Not always radical positions are invalid just because they are labeled as radical. Also, he has presented false evidence. This should make thunderf00t the shame of the scientific community. He presented blatantly false evidence against Dawah film, and even when the false evidence was subsequently refuted by Dawah himself, as he made some clarifications of his words, thunderf00t didn't take any steps to change his conclusions. The convoluted use that thunderf00t made of Dawah's words shows that Dawah served a purpose in thunderf00t's grand scheme of things. He has been ignoring opposing evidence. He has shown images of stoning and other kinds of violence in Islamic states, as if we the West were free from such crimes. One only has to look at past institutions such as the Inquisition, or more recently the KKK, General Franco in Spain, or even more recently Blackwater and their crimes in Iraq, to find that we were and still are fundamentalists to a lesser or greater extent. I didn't hear thunderf00t speaking in the name of justice or freedom of speech when the US military in Iraq performed the massacre of Fallujah, or the more recent killing of journalists and civilians by the US military, as shown in a video released by WikiLeaks. He also claims that Islam remains silent against those who are violent or repressive, but I believe he has not bothered trying to find out about the numerous voices of peace and or dissent within Islam, and that are criticizing those who are violent, including people such as Salam Ahmad, the rock musician, Nasid Mahdi, the national vice president of Ahmadiyya Muslim community, or Imam Muhammad Shafmi Ali, who is the spiritual leader of the Islamic Cultural Center of New York, amongst many. He acts as those who he criticizes, such that he claims that burning a flag is a terrible offense, so he goes off and burns a Muhammad flag, thereby being no better than them. Thus far he claims as a success that Pakistan has banned Facebook and YouTube, but how could this be claimed as a victory, as thus far the only thing we know is that a large number of Muslims have been cut off the outside world. If you want to defend freedom of expression, start defending it in your own country and attack those who are really undermining it near you. Criticize the Patriot Act in the US. Criticize Tony Blair for implementing a policy that bans unauthorized protests from taking place within half a mile of Westminster in front of the UK Parliament. It is easy to criticize those from other countries that do wrong, but the real challenge is to dissent from those that are in your own country, and of course upon whom you can exert a greater impact. In light of this, I have concluded that Thunderfoot is himself on a crusade, a jihad. As someone who has no qualms to use insult to attain his goals, though however much I agree with his goal of freedom of speech, I strongly disagree with outright insult and provocation. By doing this video, I am seeking to distance myself from Thunderfoot and his forceful methods. However, although late, I would like also to make my contribution to the Draw the Mohammed Day. I hope I still can make it to the first prize. There is only one more thing left for me to do, and this is to regretfully unsubscribe from his channel, at least until he apologizes. Finally, I would like to conclude with a Noam Chomsky quote that said, "The United States is unusual among the industrial democracies in the rigidity of the system of ideological control, indoctrination we may say, exercised through the mass media. I believe Thunderfoot is a victim of Western propaganda, has been indoctrinated by Western media to have an irrational hate of Islam, and so he is no longer a critical freethinker, and thus he needs to reflect, apologize, and perhaps one day I shall subscribe again to his channel."